Don't die. Heroes among us. Oleg Kutsyn, Ukrainian public, political and military figure, founder and commander of Karpatska Sich, was born on November 23, 1965 in Ivano-Frankivsk. He grew up in a patriotic family from an early age. His grandfather was a member of the Karpatska Sich organization in 1938-39. From him, I inherited the love for Ukraine and the desire to fight for its independence. He graduated from Tachiev Secondary School. In 1982-84, he studied at the Ivano-Frankivsk Oil and Gas University. When, at the request of one or two students, the teacher started lecturing in Russian, Oleg was among the few who categorically opposed such a choice. After his military service, he continued his studies at the Lviv Polytechnic Institute. He also graduated from the Lviv Regional Institute of Public Administration of the National Academy of Public Administration under the President of Ukraine. Since 1987, he worked at the Zenit Tachiev plant, where he worked his way up from the foreman to acting director. Long before the war, Oleg Kutsyn became a legend for many Ukrainians. On October 4, 1989, despite the strict ban of the communists, he first hoisted the blue-yellow flag in his native Tachievo. In 1990, he was among those nationalists who raised the blue-yellow flag over Hoverla. Oleg Kutsyn was a participant in the Revolution of Dignity, a member of Prosvita, deputy chairman of the Holodny Yar Historical Club. At the beginning of the 2000s, he joined the ranks of Svoboda Higher Education Institution. In 2005-06, he was the first deputy head of the Tachiev District State Administration. Oleg raised 3 children, daughters Olesa and Milanka, and son Taras. He loved everyone infinitely, was strict, and at the same time remained a friend and a strong support. He enjoyed his granddaughters Solomika and Yarinka. With the start of the war in the East in 2014, Oleg Kutsyn organized a volunteer group that began collecting and delivering aid to Ukrainian military personnel serving in the occupied Slovyansk region of Donetsk region. In the summer of 2014, together with his brothers, he created and headed a separate volunteer group, Karpatska Sich, reviving the military tradition of the Carpathian Siege of 1938, whose heroic manner inspired him. I was lucky. I saw a new cohort of Ukrainian heroes who deservedly stood in the same row as those I read about and admired, and I had the good fortune to form this force, Oleg Kutsyn said. In 2014-16, the detachment turned into a company and became part of the 93rd Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Soldiers of Karpatska Sich withstood battles in the area of Donetsk airport near Piski, Vodene, Opytne, Mine Butivka. Oleg Kutsyn was wounded in the battle for the village of Piski. In 2015, he headed the Legion of Freedom Combatant Association. On February 24, 2022, Oleg Kutsyn, together with his brothers, re-established the volunteer battalion Separate Volunteer Hota Karpatska Sich. Sich of fighters under his command once again proved themselves on the battlefield. Therefore, a joint decision was made to create the 49th Separate Rifle Battalion of the Land Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Karpatska Sich. For the first time in history, a junior lieutenant became the commander of a battalion of the armed forces, because there could be no other commander for the legendary battalion except Oleg Kutsyn. For the soldiers, he was always an authority, always led. He was convinced that the commander should be combative, plan and participate in the battles together with the soldiers, and not sit in the headquarters. During the war with the Moscow enemy, Oleg Kutsyn, alias Kum, trained hundreds of Cossack nationalists by his example. Many soldiers gained military experience and became officers. said the battalion soldiers about their commander. Fighters of 17 nationalities fought with him: Russians, Americans, Georgians, Latvians, French and British, because he did not need to know the language to establish interaction and create trust in battle. Oleg Kutsyn firmly believed that Ukraine should be completely free, even at a high price, at the cost of one's own life. This war is for a long time and is not a war for territories. It is a worldview war. Either we are or we are not. Either there is a Ukrainian state or it will not exist. And if there will be a Ukrainian state, then the Russian state will fall apart in the near future, and we will help it in this, he said. During the battles for Izum on June 19, 2022, Oleg Kutsyn died from a direct hit by Russian artillery on the command post in the village of Vernopilla, Kharkiv region. The commander of the Karpatska Sich battalion, Oleg Kutsyn, was buried at the Baikova cemetery in Kiev. Eternal glory and bright memory to the hero.